Is like what we understand to be Star Wars, like the idea that like that only came from George Lucas, that only George Lucas holds the key for what we understand to be Star Wars is just untrue.
Yo people, welcome back to another video. Now, I tried to stay quiet about the whole Acolyte thing, but the amount of gaslighting, the amount of delusion that people are willingly spreading, it causes a lot of fake narratives, fake labels, fake news, which just spreads all around social media. I'm going to be giving you the truth and put to bed all these fake narratives created by the media and by sensitive morons, especially the gremlins on Twitter and Facebook. They all do this to create beef, gain clicks and views, and just create this negative environment, then blame you for not liking something, even though they've created a toxic environment. I'll also be using the photographic and video evidence, something that most of these clowns could never ever provide. The main two culprits that will be spoken about will be Leslie Headland and Disney. But before I do that, I do want to say I'm not left-wing, I'm not right-wing, I don't have any politics, I don't have any agendas behind these things. But regardless of what you are, click that like button, comment your thoughts down below, sub to the channel if you haven't already, if you're new around here, etc. Share the vid as well if you think I'm being fair and speaking facts. Anyways, we got these Twitter and Facebook gremlins. They've come out to the conclusion that because the Acolyte isn't well received, that must mean that Star Wars fans are racist and they hate women. They say that the Acolyte trailer must be getting review bombed. Now, I personally want to start with cancel culture. I think cancel culture should only be used if someone has done something like murder, R charges, terrorist attacks, and things of that nature. However, these days, the sensitive little gremlins, they try to unite on social media and get people cancelled because of things like misgendering someone or because they have allegations, stuff of that nature. If that's your rules, then be 100% consistent. However, we saw Johnny Depp get cancelled for allegations, but that same energy is not what they're doing right now with the head writer of the Acolyte show, Leslie Headland. If you somehow didn't already know, she was Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant. Harvey has been proven guilty for a lot of disgusting and devilish things, and he's rightly so cancelled. Leslie over here was a personal assistant. She never went to court, she never got investigated, she never faced any questioning despite working so close for someone who is such a threat. And by the way, he also has links to Jeffrey Epstein. So this is strike one as to why people may not like the Acolyte. They don't want anything to do with Harvey and that behavior. And funnily enough, I see creeps online defending her without any official proof. Oh, but she only worked there for a short amount of time. Oh, but there's no proof that she was actually involved. Okay then, if you want to defend that behavior, then go ahead. According to how cancel culture works, where even allegations are enough to finish your career, then a person who worked so closely for a demon like Harvey Weinstein should automatically be cancelled through association until her name gets officially 100% cleared. But no, cancel culture protects her for whatever reason. Maybe because she's queer, maybe because she does this victim card, who knows. But on top of that, not only does she survive any actual punishment, she gets promoted and given a job at Star Wars, and then decides to say this about George Lucas's work.
It's like what we understand to be Star Wars, like the idea that like that only came from George Lucas, that only George Lucas holds the key for what we understand to be Star Wars is just untrue. And I think the prequels are an excellent example of that. I mean, the idea that like when you're hiring a director, that everyone is sitting in there waiting for George Lucas and not for the person who's going to know to hire Ralph McQuarrie, that's the problem. That's the misogyny and the problem with the auteur myth as it stands today, because they're not thinking this is the person that will hire the right people and this is the person that will be able to create the lookbooks and direct people to get them to that place. They're just thinking, do you have all the answers? And the truth is that nobody does.
Now that right there is strike two. She spoke a whole load of garbage, and once you start attacking George Lucas, you're already getting the fans against you. So working for a criminal, strike one. Attacking the creator of the franchise that you're working for, strike two. And it's funny because then at Star Wars Celebration last year, she didn't show any of that energy that she showed in that podcast. She was in front of the public, and instead of speaking her mind and really showing what she really thinks, instead she went to do this whole fake crying in an attempt to get cheered and applauded by the fans, get them on side, get some good energy towards the Acolyte. Now, I was there that day. Dave Filoni had been speaking just before her, and he started crying. He got emotional about the reception he got, and when he was crying, he got loud sound sounds of appreciation, a loud roar, people were clapping. Then Leslie went right after he did, and she was clearly trying to force the tears and get cheered, and it just ended up being cringe. People around me were actually laughing when they were hearing what she was saying.
Star Wars saved my life. Like,
so that victim mentality and the forced crying, that could be a strike 3 for some people, but I'll allow her personally. Where strike 3 comes into play, and you need to listen very carefully because people love to twist stuff and misquote. She has come out and said that the Acolyte will focus a lot on her queer experiences and stuff like that. Now, once you say that, it's not a bad thing, but you start selling the show as a sexual preference type of show. The type of show that on Disney Plus, you expect it to be on the Pride Stories section, or the LGBT stories, or stuff like that, stuff that's focused so that people that are into that stuff can find it easier and it's a big thing for them. Instead of selling the show as a queer experience and something about sexuality, which shows your narcissism, by the way, how about you sell it off as a Sith adventure or whatever it is that you're trying to do, because this is supposed to be about the Sith and how they're working in the shadows. Also, in the actual show, you can have small details or people saying that they're queer or things that highlight that it's queer instead of shoving it in your face. So the strike 3 for me is that it's very poor marketing and promotion of the show. Not because the show is queer, but because of how they're forcing it. Oh yeah, the show's queer, by the way. Instead of saying, yeah, we're going to focus on the Sith. There may be hints of queerness, but it's about the Sith, what they were doing while the Jedi were dominating. It's before the Phantom Menace, all of that stuff. But no, none of that. Instead, you want to talk about how it's queer. Now, strike 4 for me is that she apparently looked up to Rian Johnson, the guy who is partly responsible for the sequels collapsing, and in doing so, burning Star Wars. She's some sort of Rian Johnson fanboy. She spoke about how she was inspired by his approach on the Force, the light side, the dark side, etc. And if you're inspired by what destroyed Star Wars, then it's not looking good, is it? Also, The Last Jedi did nothing different to what people like Qui-Gon, Luke Skywalker, and Ahsoka believed in when it came to the Force. Now, let's move away from her and show you how this show has picked up strike number 5, and another reason why people may not want to watch. We had Jodie Turner-Smith speaking at Star Wars Celebration, and this is what she had to say.
My character, she's a powerful leader. Yes, yes. In a very woman-centered world. Star Wars is very patriarchal.
This one might be one of the worst. Speaking with that much confidence, but being so incorrect and trying to lecture people while trying to gain an applause and a cheer that she didn't get, by the way. But here's a compilation of characters to disprove her incorrect and fake narrative spreading claims. Now, last but not least, a lot of the main reasons people don't like this show is because of Disney. For nearly a decade, they've tried to show themselves as these white knights who protect everyone and they care for everyone. Diversity, inclusion. They make all these shows with inclusion and diversity in mind to get everyone's money, and in reality, they don't care about you. Now, if you've been on this channel long enough, you know the same 3 examples I'm about to use. So we got the Force Awakens poster. This is the regular one, the one that was used everywhere. We see John Boyega taking up a good amount. He's even got the blue lightsaber. And now this is the China version. Look at him. He's smaller than BB-8. Apparently, inclusion, diversity, all of that stuff. But don't worry, this one's the Black Panther poster. Here's the Chadwick one, the one that we all know. And this is a China one. What the fuck is that on his face? But don't worry, that's not all they've done. Let's continue with how Mulan's live action film was actually shot and filmed in China. Parts of the film were filmed near Chinese concentration camps where they torture Muslims. That just sounds so inclusive, doesn't it? But don't worry though, remember, they love women. They love women so much that they've made them the protagonist of everything these days. But what's this? 8th of December 2023, a class action lawsuit that alleges that Disney paid 9,000 women less than their male counterparts. The suit is the largest ever certified under California's Equal Pay Act, which makes it illegal for workers to be paid less for substantially similar work based on their gender. Why is Disney not getting cancelled? They allegedly haven't been paying equally. That should certify cancellation according to how cancel culture works and all the stuff that I was talking about previously. But Disney not doing what they preach? That is such a surprise. Don't worry though, they got that insane PR and control a lot of the media for PR and to clear their name whenever movies come out, and they use this to deflect from their fraudulent activity, which is only money-based. They don't actually care about you, remember?
They're incredibly diverse. Just the diversity of this cast. There's representation.
It has such diversity, such inclusion.
The theme is just how diverse this cast is and what they represent. So many people will see themselves represented in it. It's like a diverse cast of superheroes.
I love about being a part of this universe is the diversity and the inclusion.
They spoke about representation. They spoke about diversity, inclusion.
So yeah, I think I've given more than 5 good reasons as to why people don't want to watch this Acolyte show. So for all you gremlins saying, but the backlash for the Acolyte is because people hate women, it's because people hate black women, well, it's simply not true. The head writer, who you've all been sucking off, may be involved in some of the most disgusting offenses in recent times. She's also very delusional to the point where she attacks the creator of the franchise she's working in. And they all work for Disney, the company that has turned into government puppets and no longer focuses on entertainment. They cause wars online to create bigger divides and to spread hate. If that's the lifestyle that you want to defend, then go for it. But don't cry and be victims when people see through all the garbage and they don't like it. However, I'll be reviewing this show when it drops. I will be neutral, I will be fair, but I'm just saying, these are the reasons why people are not happy with Disney, with Star Wars. It's more of the same, more of the lecturing, more on focusing on other stuff rather than the actual stories. If you want to add queerness and all of that stuff, show us, don't tell us. And don't focus on lecturing people, because people want to be entertained. They don't want to be lectured. It's not about politics. Also, how was Rogue One so successful if that had a female lead? Shows like Ahsoka that were female leads across the whole show, how was that so successful? But as always, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, drop a like on the video, sub to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for your time and have a great rest of your day.